Tech versus skill. Well, in this video, I wanted to do a deep dive into questions that I get every single morning on my morning walk when I think about what's going on nowadays with AI, music, and then I think about all the years of practicing, learning skills. So stay tuned and enjoy these thoughts, these questions. And if you want to pitch in, let me know in the description below. I'm curious about your thoughts. So, one of the things I asked is, what is a music producer? And I think the role of a music producer have changed a lot in the past, like 50 plus years or longer, whatever. A producer traditionally meant just somebody that's taking care of the business side of things, gets the musicians, books the studio, and things like that. And down the line, a producer started to get more and more roles, and it started to more add stylistic, taste type of things, who should play the instrument, based on their skill levels, their style, what they bring in, and then to a point where producers play multiple instruments. So you go to a music producer if you're an artist, and I've worked with so many artists. I'm also a music producer. I have a big love for musical instruments. I play a lot of them. I play guitar, bass, drums, percussion. I'm not a professional percussion player, nor am I a professional drummer, but if you give me 5 weeks, I will work it out, to a degree. All of these instruments takes a lot of time. I don't really believe in the word talent, because I think it's passion times hard work and dedication. I think that's what will make you be good at something. Now I know there will be people out there who will tell me, Danny, you're wrong. There is such a thing as talent. But maybe you're thinking of the innate ability or something that you're just naturally drawn. Anyway, so music producers then put on other hats to offer more value to artists, people. And there are music producers who claim they don't play instruments, like Rick Rubin. And I read Rick Rubin's book. I recommend it to everybody. He is a monk. Like, the way he thinks about creativity, creation, and things like that is just out of this world. I recommend that book really to everybody, and it helps to think about yourself in a different sort of fashion, you know. So, a lot of music producers um, learn a lot of different instruments. So there's an instrumental knowledge, technical knowledge. There's a DAW, digital audio workstation type of knowledge, mixing knowledge, mastering knowledge, arranging knowledge. And what is arranging? Well, arranging is not the same as composing. They're two different things, and I didn't know for a long time. So composing is writing a piece of music from scratch, and you are also like thinking about what instrument plays what melodical, harmonical, rhythmical part. And arranging is, you have a piece, and then you assign notes, chords, rhythms to other instrument players, and that's where you bring in your expertise, your experiences, your stylistic knowledge, and things like that. So a lot of styles has to do with what traditionally that style, that time period used to do. It's a lot of patterns. So you learn. I remember I had a course at Berkeley called what was it called? Shoot, now I can't remember it. It was an interesting course because we, in a span of 12 weeks, we learned a lot of different styles of music, and more so, we learned the patterns that was highly known for that style. So, a producer should also have a big variety of musical knowledge, in their head. So listening to music is a must. It's that, so that I have a lot of things that goes through my mind there. Like, we'll get to it later. So listening to music, developing a taste, developing an instrumental knowledge, developing kind of like a inner musical hearing. So when a music producer hears a song, just a lead, like a melody and a chord, that they can internally imagine or audize or whatever, what it would sound like in a certain type of style. So by now, you're probably hearing that I'm saying all these different hard skills that you're learning, and then that's a musician. What is a musician? That's another key important question. Do you need a degree to be a musician? Do you need to have a Grammy to be a musician? Do you need to be playing an instrument to be considered a musician? Do you have to, like, what does it mean to be a musician? And I think that a there is a perception on it, like a public perception. Maybe a musician is somebody that gigs, somebody that entertains people, or somebody that writes songs, but that can also be called a songwriter. So there's a lot of these different roles. Like, is a mix engineer a musician? A lot of them are also musicians. Or does that mean that, let's say you play for years, you get paid for playing gigs and record songs, and all of a sudden you decide to do something else? Do you stop being a musician? Is it something that's directly correlated to what you're actively doing, what you're actively also get paid doing? And now comes technology, AI now with the generative things, because nowadays when you say AI music, immediately everybody thinks about generative AI and in music. And I don't blame them. So, because that's what's in the forefront. Years ago, companies like Suno, Udio, and other similar companies have come up with technologies that they scraped a lot of music off of the internet and they turned those into zeros and ones. Now, don't ask me how they trained it and what the training means, because I am certainly not qualified to talk about it. But the way I understand it is they are learning patterns through a gazillion amount of music. And so it doesn't know music theory, actually. It doesn't. It knows patterns. So styles have certain patterns that throughout history it's being done in that sort of fashion. So AI can't create anything new per se. That's why you need to have a human in the mix, and the question is, why are you using AI? What is the necessity for it? What does it replace? What does it do? Now, there are a lot of things, and I'm going there. It is a big thought, so stay with me. And it is a big cyclical thing, because there is there's another question. It is, what is considered to be a good musician? Like, are there really steps that you can quantify? Like, oh, I read music, I can play by ear. Does that mean that already makes you a good musician? Do you play music with people? Are you a good improviser? Are you a bad improviser? Does that mean you're not a good musician? Do you only play one style? Does that make you a good musician or a bad musician? See, it's so unquantifiable. It's really more of a personal thing. Music is a personal journey. It's almost like religion. It's what music does to you and what music does to everybody else. When I said you, I meant oneself. What does music do for oneself, and what does music do for others, for the listeners? So there is the musician or the person with the skills who has learned a bunch of instruments, whatever. The knowledge is in the head, and then there's the consumer, and the two are different but also kind of similar. I know it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me right now, but maybe it makes sense. I don't know. So a lot of things are liked by the consumers and a lot of things are disliked by the musicians. So when AI came out, it made it extremely easy to create music. But is it music? Is it art? Is every piece of music art? Is everything that's created, that is a creation, will be considered an art? I know this is like weird thoughts coming out of my mind, but I do think about this in the moment because I've read situations where somebody pooped in a bottle and sold it on eBay for $10,000 and was put on a pedestal or put on a display, or like weird art that some people will consider useless. Some people would think it's the most unique out there idea they have ever seen. So there's a lot of eye of the beholder thing when it comes to art also. How do you quantify something being good or bad is also depending on the group it's in. So if I play jazz and I'm in a punk rock community, they might not like what I have to say artistically. But if you put me into a fusion group, then I can talk about all my experiences, my the people I looked up to, the solos I've learned, and the corporations. It also depends again on the target audience. So how do you know if what you're making is good or bad? Is also depends on who you're showing it to. What are those people's experiences in music? Or what they consider to be good. That's why I think music can be hard to monetize sometimes because it's an intangible thing, it's a feeling thing. It's how you make other people feel, how you convey a feeling, an experience, things like that. So, if you look at the history in the past, and now I'm going into technological advancements and skill. So, when the computer and these technologies weren't as advanced, you had to reach a certain level of musicianship that people considered to be good. Now, the more technology came, DAW became a thing where you can record more things on a computer or on boards. Then you can add more vocals. With more vocals, you can have now more out of tune sounding vocal layers. So what came out? Auto tune. So now that is also technology that if you're good, it will amplify you. But if you're not a good singer and you haven't spent enough time to get to become what people will consider a good singer, then you reach out to the tools that will basically help you stand up. You rely on it. So then the question is the technology, are you relying on the tech, or is the tech uplifting you or giving you just a little nudge? So like Melodyne is also a similar thing. Like you can literally sing one note and then you can turn it into a C major scale from one note, or sing whatever, and then you can fix that. Now of course that takes time. So now we're introducing a time factor. So let's say a producer has a production and the singer hasn't quite put in the time yet to be good at singing, because there's a time aspect in order to have good timing, good pitch and tone. That takes time, awareness, dedication. So if that person has not put the time, dedication into it, now there are these tools. Now you're introducing time for the producer or mix engineer to adjust that vocal take. First, choose it from however many are there. If the timing wasn't good, then edit it. If the pitch wasn't good, edit it. So I have experience working on one like vocal production for like 10 to 12 hours, and still there was a lot of extra production time that was needed. And the question there, is that true to art? Like, does that, are you then putting out a fake version, a fake reality to the public, and you're basically showcasing a version of you, but then you can't actually perform that live because you don't possess that skill? What about comping? What about different takes? I've seen mix engineers break down mixes, and you can literally see that the pop singer, literally they were comping every single sentence or everything. And then, does that make the production worse, better, or because it's a production that is different than a live production? Because a live performance, do you need to be perfect to be entertaining? That's another question. So then we have vocal lining. You can do all these things faster. And then now you have AI models of singers. Now, here's the thing. I've heard Charlie Puth said one example, and I forgot the name of the artist. He's an older country singer. I'm gonna love you forever and ever. That's a song. He had a stroke and he lost his voice, but he still writes songs. So they hired a sound alike and they trained a model on his existing older songs. And that's how he continues to create. But there's the other side where people just use their regular voices. They send some couple minutes of vocal recordings. They're not singers. Traditionally speaking, they haven't put in the time into developing the hard skill of singing, tone, and timing and pitch, because all of that is part of that. And they train an AI model on their voice, and all of a sudden they can create songs with their own voice. Now, is this ethical then? Well, you're technically doing it yourself, you're signing it off, but is that, do listeners care truly how good, bad, or what the process was of a single song? Or do they just care about, am I entertained? Because I think, think about that. Let me know in the description below. So, and I started seeing folks using AI to generate guitar solos and faking the entire thing. And I've done a video on it, link in the description or link somewhere over here. And it was baffling me because you can, with a trained ear, you can hear and you can see that that would be played differently. And that video was played millions of times. And people didn't seem to notice that it wasn't real. And that's what's crazy. Like, what is it really that that viewers, listeners value in music, in art? And that's where I'm thinking, like, there's the musicianship, the craft, the how good you are in an instrument. And I'm not always the same. There are sometimes I have to practice something so that I get it in one take. There are times I don't make a mistake in any rehearsal, then I make a mistake in the concert. But you know what? That is the real perfectionism. The real perfectionism is imperfectionism. It's being okay with not portraying to be 100% right all the time. And I think that's what's art really about. It's about realizing that we're human, that the skill is like a movable thing, because what if you don't have time to practice for a week? Then you're not as good as you were, but it doesn't mean that you can't be. It's time. So technology can enhance. It also takes away time that you would have needed if you wanted to get good at something. Is it ethical to release songs that are fully AI generated. Like, let me present you another thing. Like, what if I forget in my mind how to play music and things like that? Anything, like no knowledge of whatsoever. And then I train a model on my music, my voice, my guitar playing that could sound like me, but it won't be me. So is that now more ethical because I personally can't do it? But what is it that people are listening to then? It's not my physically portrait skill. Now here's another thing. Like there is the what I say is creativity comes from within. Like your experiences kind of imagine that your creativity flows through your mind and it has to do with your knowledge of music or your taste, your experiences, all the people you played with, and all these elements that inspires you to create. And we can hear certain things in our head that we either can play or we can't, or we will have to just put the time in to learn how to play it. But does that mean that if I can't play something but I get AI or something else to play it, that it's more ethical? Well, if we think about it, it used to take, or it takes, hiring a band to get that live sound. But quantization was also formulated, and now you can basically quantize a band, a drummer, everybody. You can quantize and dehumanize, which is interesting. There are so many morning thoughts that I have in my mind. I might have to make an episode too. Now, this is not an anti technology. Really not. It's more like what is it that you value in musicians, in music producers, songwriters, in entertainers? What do you value? Why do you value something? And what makes these things good or bad? I think these things, these technologies, is just is. It's the user that defines at the end, what do we want also the viewer to see of us? Are we okay being imperfect? Are we wanting and needing to show perfection to so much degree that we use all these technologies? But also there comes the budget, like to hire a band, a big band, a string section to really produce or record a big EP or an LP, it does take a lot of money. So I know it can take tens of thousands of dollars, and you still have to have budget for videos, for commercials or social media marketing and things like that. So if you think about it, if you want to be proper, you have to have like tens of thousands of dollars and a lot of time, creative space, and know the right people for the right job. So, if the idea for the technology is to try to level up faster and get to a place to make money and then hire people, I get it. I get it. And then again, what do we value as listeners, and how can we create a future where tech isn't taking over these lively experiences of music creation, togetherness, and playing? Because AI can't really take away the experience of seeing music, playing music, and I've played music with so many people, and with the right people, it's just so much joy to play it. And if you're having fun, I tell you, the people who are listening to it, they are also enjoying it too, because it's a human experience. So when people talk about AI taking over music and things like that, I'm not necessarily too worried about that, because AI can't make you feel. It just replaces certain. It unfortunately replaces the time that it would take to be good at something. But what is that thing? And do you value something because somebody spent 20 years being good at that thing? Or do we want just the computer to spit out something that's considered perfect in one sense or the other? So Anyway, that was something. So, in the description below, let me know what your thoughts are. If there's something you agree, disagree, if you have different views or similar views, let me know what your thoughts are. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.